Joining me now, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Dave Deptula. Good to have you back, sir. Thanks so much for joining.
You bet, Jim.
Let me ask a very basic strategic question. If the goal of these strikes recently have been, one, to open the Strait of Hormuz, but two, to force Iran to the negotiating table and to make concessions, have the strikes met either of those goals?
Well, I think that the strikes underway need to be executed before we can properly answer that question. I think that what you're seeing is the U.S. is shifting from a purely paper compliance model to more of an enforced consequences model. And one needs to remember, and I think we have to be careful not to mirror image to the Iranians what our response might be, and to recognize that Iran only cares about or will respond to force. So that's part of the challenge here. I'm concerned that perhaps we're thinking a little bit too much the way we would react as opposed to what needs to be done to get the Iranians to comply. And that means greater application of force, quite frankly.
I mean, the trouble is that they have not responded to force yet in the way that the U.S. wants, one, which is to, unrestrained opening of the Strait, as well as serious negotiations going forward. And I understand the application of further force, but to what degree, right? I mean, the question is, how far is the U.S. willing to go? I mean, you have this chorus, right? If you listen to the, everybody from several, Israeli officials speaking publicly to the Wall Street Journal editorial board, they will say, finish the job. Well, what does finish the job mean?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge. I mean, if it was easy, it would be over with by now. Now, obviously, I'm not going to discuss operational target lists in detail, but conceptually, the target sets that are being exercised include the systems that Iran uses to threaten the Strait, which includes IRGC naval assets, coastal anti-ship missiles, all these things that I think you've gone over ad nauseum, command and control sites, but to a much, much greater degree than they've been reduced so far. One of the topics that people get all excited about is electricity. That is the single most highly leveraged target there is. You take out the electricity that powers the IRGC capabilities and you shut them down. And a legal case can be made that you can do that in accordance with the laws of armed conflict. So, there's one potential area that could actually paralyze the IRGC's ability to operate. So I think that what we need to do, and the mistake that we need to avoid, is conducting pinprick retaliation. The right approach is to attack the systems that enables Iran's maritime coercion.
We know that the possibility of ground operations is at least on the table, up until the point that ground forces have been deployed to the region for that possibility. How big a risk would that be? Whether you're saying go on shore along the strait to destroy positions you can't destroy entirely from the air, or go on to Karg Island to take possession of Karg Island or control it so that Iran is constricted economically, or go on the ground to retrieve all the highly enriched uranium. Can you do any of those things without the risk of significant casualties?
Short answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay, now you raised three separate conditions, which are all different. The one that's been batted around the most recently is the whole issue of Karg Island. Well, why? Well, because Karg Island matters because it's central to Iran's oil export capacity. But the objective is not the island itself. The objective is the flow of oil revenue that funds Iran's aggressions. And we can neutralize that flow through aerial mining, maritime exclusion, precision strikes on the export infrastructure, and sustain surveillance without putting U.S. sons and daughters on Iranian soil and dramatically increasing potential U.S. casualties. So let's not occupy what we can neutralize.
Lieutenant General Dave Deptula, appreciate you joining.
Have a great day.